Money is a powerful substance, and in our case, the greed of the developers can have a detrimental effect on the success of a game, because while developers focus on making money, it can lead to players being unsatisfied with their playing experience. In my examples today, this will exemplify this monetary trap and even show how game developers can possibly get over this hurdle. Like and subscribe if you do enjoy, and let's get into it. Our first game is actually Minecraft Dungeons, which, funny enough, I actually made a video about this topic over a year ago. Actually, maybe a little less. I'm not sure, but I made a video about how the new DLC being bought with money is a terrible idea because they continue the story in the game. And guess what? They still haven't changed a thing. There are 4 DLCs now, and they all cost money. And let me show you something. So I was looking on Google one day, and then I see this article which says, hey, free update. And I'm thinking, maybe they'll add something that everybody can play. So I log on to get footage for this video to maybe see how it changed, and nothing else is new. There is basically zero addition to the game except this one function called Ancient Hunts, which you have to dump armor in anyway, so I don't get the point at all of doing it. Maybe I haven't played the game in a while, but it's so dead in the water that I don't think it matters because they already lost their fan base at this point. I have not seen a Minecraft Dungeons video in ages. It lasted about 2 weeks because there's only about $20 worth of content, which is what you buy it for, and then buying all the DLCs just isn't worth it after that point. And that's what I made in my first video, and it seems that they still haven't changed, and I was completely right about them really fumbling the bag. The reasoning behind these decisions comes down to possibly 2 reasons. I don't know for sure which it is, I'm just stating these out in the blue because this is what I came up with. The first being they did just want the money, in which they continued the story in the DLCs so that people would have to buy it if they wanted to continue with the game. But that didn't really go off too well, and that's why it's right now completely dead as of this point. Or the second one, that they were a little too confident in what they had, and since they liked what they had in the game, they felt that people would enjoy having more and would be willing to pay the money for it. In that case, you still have this greed aspect, but it's not as prevalent as the first one. But in the end, it didn't work, and unfortunately, Minecraft Dungeons has been forgotten. For the second time ever, we are talking about a mobile game. In this case, it is Clash Royale, made by Supercell, who also made Clash of Clans, Brawl Stars, and Boom Beach. The style of the game is a 1v1 or 2v2 tower defense style where you build decks to fight the opponent. Our focus today is about the reward system, where you won battles and you got chests as a reward, and then you opened these chests over time, which gave you gold, gems, and cards to upgrade your arsenal. These cards were what you built your deck, and you used the gold to upgrade your cards to get them better, and gems to buy chests and other stuff from the shop. In the shop, there was always a 500 gem legendary chest, which if you play the game consistently, you get it ever so often, and then get another legendary to add to your deck. And it was a nice system, it worked pretty well. And there were free chests and crown chests that you earned along the way, along with the ones you just won in standard battle. This provided a continuous stream, even if you had your chest slots full, which you had 4, which gave you enough so that if you played the game consistently, you'd be happy with what you got, and sometimes a random legendary card would appear out of nowhere. And this all changed about 2 years ago, where they suddenly added a battle pass, which is probably the worst thing to do. So you have this game where you barely have anything involving money except gems, which can help you a bit if you waste a ton of money, but if you play the game normally, you have no reason to buy gems. And now they kind of force you to by removing the legendary chest I mentioned earlier, and then adding a battle pass, which provides more chests and more gems instead of the normal system that was in place before. The Battle Pass added tower skins and a ton of emotes to the game, which didn't add anything substantial, but it also had the extra chests, and when you're a normal player, and you don't have this extra chests and don't spend money, there's sometimes where players can get max level cards and it just ruins your fun. That's not really an issue on their part because it could happen before by spending gems, but they kind of made it a little easier to access with the battle pass. But I can't fault them too much on that because it's really up to the players to decide what they do. This is a step up from Minecraft Dungeons because it doesn't actually affect a main part of the game, in which the story continued on in the DLC, which is a terrible decision altogether. If it was just extra levels, it would be fine. Just like this, it's just extra stuff, and maybe a slight advantage on chests, and the old system I preferred personally, which I think a couple other people could agree with, but it's not too big, and it's a little better than what we had before. And now we are on to our final example, which is what I'm playing in the background, Battlefront 2. The final game we are here to talk about is Battlefront 2, and if you were there since the beginning, you would know that off the start, this game was all about loot boxes, and the only way to get them was to buy them. It took ages to unlock heroes, which only people who bought the game quickly got and used. It was just not a good experience. The gameplay was all based on getting these loot boxes, so if people bought them, they'd get the advantage in the game. Thankfully, Battlefront 2 is an example that I can say really fixed this problem. The developers went back, cut out all loot boxes and buying, so if you bought the game, you got everything. All the heroes were then unlocked, you just had to level them up by playing them, and you were able to really just have fun with the game as I'm playing behind you. This is some really fun gameplay, and nobody's insanely leveled unless they actually played and earned that skill. So it's nice to know that if you're getting wrecked by a level 800 Dooku, they actually played for way too long. But the point is, they took the time out of their game to remove what was wrong with it, and that was the transactions. They didn't need the extra money, but they wanted it, so they put it in the first place. Understanding if your fans want it or not is important because without that, they'll just leave the game. They'll stop playing. That's what a lot of people did, and then once it got fixed, people came back. They got happy, and Battlefront 2 overall became a really successful game. Unfortunately, recently they literally dropped any sort of updates, and now the game's sitting at a standstill of what it is. That's really sad to hear, but I hope they make a Battlefront 3 that's much better at the start and includes a lot more content that we missed here, because there's so much they could have added, but I guess they're moving on to different projects, and that's okay. They came, fixed the game, and gave us something that we could still enjoy, even though it wasn't perfect. And that's really all you can do. Get your fans what they want, they'll come back, and they'll buy your next game. So if EA does take this into consideration, I will be buying their next Battlefront. Maybe I don't like most of their games, and I think all the sports games are repetitive and add basically nothing, but I'll be happy and excited for the new Star Wars games coming out soon. Well guys, that's going to do it for the video. If you did enjoy, of course, comment down below your thoughts and any other games that you noticed this trend with. It was fun to look back on a couple games, see that some failed while others succeeded, and hopefully other companies will take note so that we can actually have good games in the future. With that said, like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and see you guys next time!